A very warm welcome back, of course. If you just joined us, you're watching KTN News, and indeed this is Scoreline sports show coming live to you from the Kenya Rugby Union grounds. Of course, as I did tell you earlier, today it's all about women rugby. We are focusing on the challenges that women undergo as they play rugby. Do they get enough support? Is women rugby as exciting as men's rugby? I'm sure you will bear me witness after having a look at those clips that women rugby is indeed interesting. And of course, this second part of this show will just be dedicated to women rugby and nothing but women rugby. But before that, KTN Sports, of course, got to visit the Kenya Sevens team, the Lionesses, who will be representing Kenya at the Rio Olympics, and got to speak to a few of them where they got to tell us what it really takes to be a woman rugby player in the country, and of course their dream for Rio. Let's listen in.
For us ladies, we take pride in playing rugby, and we are so encouraged that even the level that the men do, which we can. All we need is just support, and that's what we are really lacking. But all of us who are here, we just passion. It drives us, and that's what brings us here.
But it's a challenge to all the women countrywide. But to me, it's a career and it's a sport that I've chosen to play. As everybody knows, rugby was a men's game. I'll say recently, they started noticing that women can also do the same thing that men can do. Yeah, but because most of the attention goes to men more than women. Yeah, but we are here to change that. Yeah, we are here to show the world that women can do what men can do.
Hatuna hiyo exposure kama men, vile wako na games nyingi. Na pia kwa Kenya Rugby, hawatu support sana vile wana support men. Me personally, kitu inani keep going ni passion. And I think pia kwa teammates wangu ni passion tu, hakuna kitu ingine.
We are the only team that has the men and women qualification to the Olympics, which is a kudos and a plus to us. Yeah. As you can see, we've started training so hard, and we believe we've started like coming soon. We are going to Hong Kong. We'll be going also to France. We believe to build our game towards these games. Then when we get to the Rio, because we've never played these big teams, this is going to be our first time meeting New Zealand, Australia, US. But we believe we'll do our best. Yeah, hard work pays, and we believe to give a good show in the Olympics.
Words even can't express how psyched up and geared up we are for the Rio Olympics, and we've started training hard. We know it won't be easy, but we'll try our level best, and we hope to do our country very proud.
Inafanya tuna feel poa kabisa, as in at least uko na hiyo pride, uko na hiyo ego. Hata msee akikutana na kuambia unaenda Olympics, una feel poa. As in tumelilia hii kitu for long, and I think hii Olympics inaenda kuchange life yetu. That's why tuna work hard, tuna feel tu vizuri.
And of course, those were some of the Kenya National Sevens women's team players talking to us about the challenges and what they really love about being rugby players. But then again, you know, I mean, a women rugby team definitely does need a coach, just as the men's team. I mean, come on, yes, I know it's that's how it's supposed to be. But is it the same team? Mike Shamia, the National Sevens team coach, get to tell us.
Coaching a women's team is a bit is both fulfilling and challenging at the same time. As we celebrate women, as we celebrate our sisters and mothers, I think it's an honor for me to coach a women's team, and it's a blessing from God to put me here to coach a women's team, and a women's team that is going to represent Africa. It's very physical, and as you know, when preparing, the intensity with women is different, very different from the men. With women, you build up slowly, building the blocks, but as opposed to men, you just hit on straight to the point. The whole training setup is based on how sound a player is, and if they're not sound back at home, if their family is not feeling well, if their child is not feeling well, definitely it will impact on preparation and training of the player. What we try to do is to bridge the gaps and just to have each and every player sound, and just welfare part of it, to know how they are, how their families are, and once in a while we visit each other and keep the family wheel going.
Mike Shamir right there, the Kenya National Sevens women's team, the Lionesses, getting to break down how it is really like to coach a women's team. And he says it's different, of course, but then again, it's doable. And he says it's exciting. And it's not only exciting, but of course, very fulfilling. And I think for him, definitely the fact that the Kenya Lionesses will be representing Kenya at the Rio Olympics alongside the male counterpart is just the highlight of being a coach. And Lionesses, do remember, they're the only other women's team that has qualified for Rio. Quite something, quite commendable. And I mean, this is not the time to even talk about how minimal what they work with is. It's more about celebrating the Lionesses and of course just keeping on focusing on them and supporting them. As I said, we can't keep complaining that women rugby is lagging behind, but then we're not supporting them. When we have a league like this taking place, it's quite sad to see that almost no one is watching. Just the players waiting to get onto the pitch, being on the stand, watching the other players play. Come on, Kenyans, we can do better than this. And of course, we continue talking women rugby. And with me, I have Paula Lanco, a director at the Kenya Rugby Union, but more so in charge of women rugby, something that she's really passionate about. And it's really good to have you here. And probably to start with, really, what is women rugby like, even at the Kenya Rugby Union?
I think it's difficult to describe women rugby in one word. I think one of the things that I've said all along is that it's been just a miraculous journey for us. And I say miraculous because just like you mentioned, we will be going to the Rio this year. And when I took office about 5 years ago, I remember actually my early interviews, I was asked, what could I do? I never played rugby, never coached. I had very little technical understanding. So what could I bring to the game? And I said, in 5 years' time, we'll either have both of either having qualified for the World Series qualifier, or we will be going to Rio. But I said with a lot of confidence, I was certain that we would have achieved either of the two, if not the two. So for me, this is a testimony, that in 5 years' time or under 5 years' time, indeed, we are going to the Rio Olympics, which even for the players, when I said it that time, everybody thought it was crazy. So it's been a miraculous journey. That's the way I describe women rugby.
Just having a look at even today. Let's talk, a little bit about the Women League. And I've just been, I don't know if I'm convincing enough, but really, women rugby is interesting. It's exciting, and we've witnessed exciting clashes right here. And of course, even having a look at Nakuru playing KCB, you get that feeling when you see KCB men playing Nakuru men. But how hard is it to even have a women rugby league running?
Again, it's not been easy, and I think the toughest part of, first of all, getting the league running was getting the buy-in from the clubs. And really for that, I have to commend the chairmen whose clubs are represented here today, because having a club has a lot of components to it, but essentially it's the funding part of it. The fact that you've got, when we started last year, we had 5 clubs, and today I'm very happy and very proud to say we actually have 8 clubs that are represented today. So really having a club or having a league running, importantly, is just the element of the funding, really the goodwill, and we've been able to achieve that, which I think is really commendable. And not just for Kenya Rugby Union, but largely in part because of the clubs that have decided it's time that we get this done. Yeah.
And of course, right now, I mean, I would want us to really talk about the Women League, but then again, I think the pressing issue is definitely the Rio Olympics. Yeah. How are the Lionesses preparing for this?
First of all, just to complete answering your league question, we have 5 legs that have been set up. This is a 10s tournament, and what we did is we sort of shied away from the 15s just to get the girls settled into the game, because this year priority for us remains participation. And when I say participation, you'll find that we have a team like Impala that joined us during the second leg, whereas most of the others started on the first leg. If we have another club, for example, Cabras, that now has a solid women's side, if they want to join at the next leg, we will actually allow it because priority is participation. Rio and the preparations, I'm very happy to report that as a union we've managed to get 3 preparation games, with the first one happening the first week of April. We will be traveling to Hong Kong, and we currently have a squad of 21 girls in training. We're training at the Lanana school grounds, and really I'm very grateful for them for allowing the team to use their ground. And we train 3 times a week. And really in terms of preparation, one of the things that we have been coming, into grasp with, is the reality that we're not going to be playing an invitational side. We're actually going for the first time to be playing a core side. And that's a little bit scary for us, but also very exciting, because it's what these girls have dreamt of for a very, very long time. So we have Hong Kong in April, and then in May we actually have 2 invitations. We're yet to farm up one of them, and the first is actually Brazil. So again, we do not really yet command a major sponsor, so we have to look at the dynamics in terms of the funding. But I'm very happy to say that most of the invitations we've received, they're happy to cater to our accommodation, local transport, and as well food. So really the challenge on Kenya Rugby Union is getting airfare and getting the respective allowance for the players. So you do have Brazil in May, and we also have France in May. That's the last week of May. And hopefully, that I'll be able to secure the last one, which I'm in discussions with the London, that's RFU, and London. Hopefully we can play a friendly.
And as we wind up, Paula, Kenya's qualification to the Rio was not exactly straightforward. It was sort of, South Africa pulled out, and then by the virtue of having finished second at the African qualifiers, then we got the opportunity to go to Rio. But the girls right now in training, have they been able to, turn around the mindset to be, we are best in Africa. Have they been able to do that?
I think one of the things that we have spent a lot of quality time trying to get into the minds of the players is, again, first and foremost, that they'll be playing a core side. But secondly, that they have to think beyond Kenya. We're not just there now to represent Kenya as a country. Yes, we are very happy to be flying our flag, but we are also going to be flying the African flag. And it's something we're really emphasizing to them. I think it kind of takes a little bit of a while, and our hope is that when we do play Hong Kong, that's going to start sinking in. But most especially when we play France, because in the France, we've actually been invited to the women's circuit. So we're not playing invitational, we're actually going to be playing the core side. They're testing us, they're actually putting us into a test with the core side in France. So that will be interesting.
Definitely an amazing build-up. And Paula, I think the final question actually, I attended one of the Lionesses training session at the Lenana school last week, and the feeling you get from them is that, we are doing really well, we are doing all we can, and the reason as to why we're here is because we're very passionate. But they don't feel like there's enough support coming from the union. They could do with more. They're being supported, but they can definitely do with more. From where you sit, you are a director, and women rugby is your thing. You're a woman. What would you love to say about that?
I think, as much as I oversee one particular docket, when I put on the hat of a director, I have to say that when we go out there, they don't separate us in line with our brands, that you're sevens men or you're women. They really look at Kenya Rugby Union as an entity. And I think maybe the thing I'd just like to say is that we do have an AGM this Wednesday. There's been a lot of talk and push about change. I'm one of those people that are, optimistic that we certainly will have the change that we want to see, because this is all about sponsorship. The level of support we're talking about. We need goodwill from the market. We need the corporate sponsors to be able to step up. This is an Olympics year. It doesn't happen every time in one's lifetime. It possibly will be once in a lifetime before the next outing for us. So really, I do want to challenge the corporate sponsors. You have a group of dedicated women. They've got really very humble backgrounds, but they will lay a lot of stuff down just to ensure they're in training 3 or 4 times a week. We have had challenges just being able to meet their allowances. Meals, we've had a lot of goodwill and ensure that we feed them after every training, but it's tough. And really what I want to call upon is just that corporate, you've got some, clubs here like, KCB, and I'd say KCB, you need to step up and support us as women. You've got Tofra here. Again, I'm, giving a shout out to Onka, and his group that, hey, look at us as a brand.
Yeah.
So it's not easy. It is tough, but it's up to
doable.
Kenya Rugby Union
Yes.
really to ensure that, we do what needs to be done and run our game as credibly as it should be run so that we can attract the goodwill that we once had and the sponsorship that we once had, because the players really do need it.
Thank you very much, and of course I agree. The players definitely do need support, and support will come from sponsors, not just from the Kenya Rugby Union. And that's the only way we will make sure that women rugby and men rugby is at par in this country. That was, of course, Kenya Rugby Union Director Paula Lanco talking to us about the struggle, of course, but also about the success of the Kenya Lionesses in the past 5 years.